Good evening. I would like to take you back to a time in your life when you faced a challenge. What was it like going through that challenge? What did you feel? What did you experience? Would you want to repeat it again? Now that you're on the other side, what have you learned from that challenge? Did you make it through unscathed, or do you have all the battle wounds to show for it? This evening, I would like to speak to you about the power of perseverance. I would like to start with a metaphorical saying. This saying is about how every challenge will come to an end. So every storm runs out of rain. Now, I'm a geography teacher as well. And so when I hear this saying, what I think of is a massive cumulonimbus storm with a huge amount of rain. You're stuck under this massive cloud with a deluge of water falling on you. You also have lightning striking around you, there's thunder, and now you have the little pellets of ice, hail, pouring down on you. You feel like you are never going to make it out of here. But just like everything comes to an end, that storm will come to an end and it will dissipate. Now, as adults, we're able to resonate with this. We're able to think back to a time where we've struggled and how we've learned from that struggle. But as an educator, my worry is, in education and in schools, are we teaching our young people true perseverance? Are we teaching them the success of perseverance and how to get through a challenge? Because for me, this is something that I see with the next generation as a problem. Now we're in an ever-changing world, technology, AI. If you look at some facts from the National Sleep Foundation, they've found that 56% of youngsters, of adolescents, do not get enough sleep. They get on average 7 hours a night instead of 9. So you may say, why is this a problem? Well, that links directly to an increased risk of depression and anxiety. So why aren't they sleeping? Because they're gaming, because they're scrolling. It's the blue light syndrome. They're not getting enough sleep. They're not able to cope with the problems. So they turn to scrolling, gaming. Dr. Larry Posen also did a study, and in his study, what he found is that something called multitasking. Now, it's not the multitasking that we know, where you have holding a child, doing someone's homework, cooking, and probably playing football as well. It's not like that. This is now what they're realizing is happening to adolescents, where multitasking, they can only stay focused for 3 minutes. Then they move on to the next task. Then they move on to the next task. So is technology, is AI bad? Not at all. We use it all the time. We all fall victim to it. When you don't know an answer to something, what do? You pull out that cell phone and don't worry, let me ask AI. You just type it into Google quickly. And of course, there's your answer instantaneously. I love arguing with my class. And I always like to be right, although sometimes I'm not. And so often when we're arguing about geographic things, and I want to show them this is how a country has reduced their economic loss due to natural hazards, and this is the preparation they've done. I quickly, while I'm talking, type in to Google, and you see there's a fact. Okay, they've reduced it by 20 million by doing this preparation. Fantastic. Okay, that's great. But when it comes to a student with a maths problem, what do? Take a photo, maybe type it into AI, and suddenly there's the answer. Have they learned anything? No. There's no perseverance. They need to go through the process of perseverance in order to actually understand what they are doing. They need to learn to fail and how to get up again in order to carry on. They need to have the courage to continue. So, is perseverance important to education? Yes, it's very important. It teaches the students to have a goal. They need to be goal-oriented. It gives them a growth mindset. It teaches them resilience. And perseverance even helps with social challenges. That brings me to social media, the favorite topic. So in Australia, what has happened, as you all know, they have banned platforms such as Instagram for adolescents under the age of 16. Why? Why would they do this? Why would they stop this connectedness between people? Because of harmful content, because of cyberbullying, because of predators. It's to protect the well-being of these adolescents. So, does social media affect perseverance? Yes, again, we all fall victim to it. It induces procrastination. How many of you sit there scrolling through your phone or possibly playing a game and procrastinating when you have something else that you should be doing? We all do it, okay? So procrastination instead of perseverance. Now, our adolescents are doing this. They're procrastinating. They're not persevering. The other thing, apart from procrastination, is the comparison. Suddenly you see on Instagram, oh my gosh, they've gone to Mauritius. How did they go to Mauritius? Why can't we go to Mauritius? And that's us as adults. What is happening to the students? We all know it's a false environment. But for the students, the adolescents, they get drawn into this. This becomes their reality. So that comparison becomes a very dangerous area. And that links me into sensationalization, the absolute need for the next like. How many likes have you got? How many followers do you have? I'm going to become an influencer. And this starts this empty cycle of validation, constantly looking for validation from other people. And when we look at students who often have problems or they have a challenge, instead of trying to deal with that challenge, what do instead? They post it. Well, suddenly you have thousands of want-to-be psychologists giving them advice. This is what you should do in this situation. This is how we can help you. And it's all empty. Because if that person keeps posting, they suddenly become victim to, look, that's victim mentality right there. They're just trying to get some attention. And it's this empty validation. They're not receiving the perseverance that they should. So if we look at Erik Erikson, he has a theory in psychosocial crises. He looks at children. With children, you have industry versus inferiority. At this point in a child's development and their growth, they should be looking at goal orientation. They should be going through the motions and persevering, trying to complete tasks. Have you ever seen a child who falls down, they're crawling, they're trying to learn how to walk, they pull themselves up, they take the first step, they fall down, and they're like, I'm never doing that again. I'm never going to try walk again. I failed. No, they keep pushing, they keep going. That's part of the natural development. They keep pushing themselves. Because it's perseverance, it's task-oriented. By the time they become an adolescence, in adolescence, we look at identity versus role confusion. This is a very important part of a child's development again, because this brings in the social identity. This is when a student is learning what their identity is. So as you can imagine, this is the crucial time, because this is when a lot can go wrong. And this is the point where we should be teaching them resilience. We should be showing them how they can rely on their own inner strength to push through challenges. Why do they have to validate it with empty likes? No, they should look inwards and they should learn how to keep going. Even when they fall down, there should not be a stigma around failure. Because how do you ever learn unless you failed? You learn how to get up and how to try better again, how to improve yourself. So that brings me to the next point. How do we get our students to weather the storm? What do we need to do to help them weather the storm? One of the things I feel, and these are my own perceptions, is very important, is strength and silence. They don't have enough silence anymore, because as soon as they're off the sports field, as soon as they're out the classroom, what are they on? Device, scrolling, procrastinating, comparison. There's no silence. Silence is an important tool. Silence gives us clarity and power. It gives us the time for self-reflection. It gives us the time to sit there and think, where did I go wrong? How can I improve myself? What do I need to do in order to make sure that next time I actually succeed in this challenge? I failed my test. What went wrong? Okay, I used AI to do all my answers. So I never learned anything, so I failed. So what do I need to do? How do I need to internalize that in that silence? Reflection. Students need this time. Adolescents need that quiet downtime. No devices, nothing else going on. Then the other thing I would like to touch on is the unseen courage. Dignity and unseen courage. As many speeches already have said, and I've already mentioned, failure. There seems to be this fear around failure. Don't even try. Don't even try it, just in case you fail. This seems to be what resonates amongst the students. Don't try it. They're so terrified that if they fail, it's going to be posted all over social media. But how can you pick yourself up again? How can you keep going and keep trying unless you've had a failure? You need the courage. It's the unseen courage. So my question to you today is, how do we get these students so that when they go into the world, the busy, loud, unforgiving world, they are prepared to persevere. They are prepared to push through and find that inner strength and that inner resilience in order to be strong in a very difficult world. How can we show them that perseverance is more important than empty likes? How can we show them that they need to get up, they need to take one more step, and that step can be unseen, uncelebrated, but for them, it is unstoppable. The power of perseverance is not what the rest of the world sees, and the rest of the world does not need to see it, but it's found in quiet strength, dignity, and unseen courage. Thank you.